When you refuse to make a decision and you're constantly diverting it back to her and telling her, I don't know, what do you want, blah, blah, blah. It feels like you're just accommodating to her, right? All the time. What's happening is that you're avoiding leading in those moments for her and taking the responsibility to lead the situation, right? One of the worst things you could say to a woman is, I'll do whatever you want. So what you could say is, I planned the last 3 dates and I'm going to plan this one too. But the scary part that you have to think about is, if you do take the reins and take the lead, are you prepared to fail and have her see it and reject it?
Nobody really talks about this, but it is so important to have a partner who matches your ambition. Right now, I'm in my studio, I'm doing my work. Vedant is in his studio, he's doing his work. And then at the end of the day, over dinner, we'll go over everything that we did and what worked out, what didn't work out so well, where we are stuck, what we're building next. And we'll talk this out with each other. And this is the kind of relationship that honestly changes you, because when two people take their goals very seriously, discipline becomes almost automatic. You are very growth oriented together, and motivation does not need to be forced upon you. You naturally want to do better.
I got sent this video earlier and I don't know how to feel about it. I'm torn about it. On one hand, I see an INDE, however you spell it, let me know in the chat. But I see independent woman taking care of everything. But the truth is, if I was her husband, she would know not to do that, because she know I would carry all the heavy stuff. Look at her. I mean, she's struggling. She's probably somewhere hot. She's tired. Who knows how many things she's carrying inside? Like, as her husband, if that was me, I would make sure that she knows to leave all the heavy stuff to me, because that's what I do. That's what I got these muscles for. Look at her taking a drink. She's tired, man. Where is her husband at? Where's her man in her life? If that was me, I would Oh!
A lot of these modern women keep on hollering online, on TikTok, I don't need no man. And then when a man stops trying to help you out, you're going to be confused. But a lot of this is your own doing.
I love when people be like, oh my God, why are you single? Like, tell me why you're single. Like, what is wrong? Like, I don't get it. Because I'm in a loving, romantic, sexy, fun, adventurous relationship with myself. And when you're not seeking love from a deficit or a place of desperation, then you will not settle for anything less than a powerful alignment with someone. And the more work that you do, the more wounds that you heal, the more unhealthy patterns that you break, the harder it can be to find someone who's on that same level of consciousness as you. You should absolutely love the direction your life is headed in, and you're just looking for a beautiful additive to join you. No rush, no worries, inflow, that's vibe, baby.
What's going on, fellas? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Let's get back to the video.
If you don't set expectations in a relationship, you're not being chill. You're being avoidant. Let's be real. A relationship without standards isn't peace. It's passivity. It's fear dressed up as flexibility. You should expect things, respect, growth, accountability, effort. A partner who pushes you to do better and lets you push back. Because love isn't just about connection. It's about direction. Where are we going? Who are we becoming together? If your partner isn't helping you evolve, if they get defensive every time you express a boundary, if you're constantly adding yourself just to keep the peace, that's not love, that's performance. Love should feel safe, but it should also feel active. You're allowed to want more, to ask for better, to expect evolution, because a love with no expectations will give you a life with no progress.
A lot of these modern women are not fit for relationships. They're not fit to be married. They're not fit to be wives. No matter what they tell you, you can just observe what they're doing and you'll know that.
I know this is gonna piss so many people off, but there's a popular saying on the Chinese internet says, even a top-tier man is just an average woman. Someone wrote, a man who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't cheat, doesn't gamble, no criminal records, stable job, cooks, cleans, emotionally stable, respects others, kind to his family. Isn't that kind of a man so rare? But honestly, every one of my female friends meets that standards and more. So yeah, even the best man is just an average woman. Oh my gosh, Shakespeare could never. And it really makes me think of the double standard that society has for men and women, especially when it comes to parenting and marriage. If a man cooks for his wife, takes care of the kids, does the housework, I guarantee 95% of the comment section is gonna say, oh my god, you're such an amazing dad, husband material, best dad ever. I'm sure as a woman, I applaud guys like this. We love seeing guys being nurturing, being involved, we love more of that. But let's be be real. Isn't that just a mom's regular everyday life? When moms do it, it's never appreciated, it's expected. But when guys do it, it's suddenly you're the best dad of the year. And we see this happens a lot. A woman needs to work twice as hard as a man to get the same position. And a guy can just does the bare minimum and still get praised. So what we need as a society is to raise the standards and stop letting ones get away with bare minimum.
Today, if you take a girl out on a date and you offer to pay, some people get offended by that because women now feel that they are equally,
How stupid of those women. You shouldn't have men pay.
No, but I'm saying these are things that happen that, we can open the door for ourselves.
There's a difference between being chivalrous and being toxic.
Have you ever been in a situation where you've done something that you thought was chivalrous and a woman has said that, I can do that myself, you don't need to?
No, as long as you're doing it in a way to be polite and not show I'm the man, you can't go wrong, is my opinion. If you're opening the door not to be like, I'm the one who'll open the door, instead you're doing it because I want to help you, then it's never going to come across the wrong way.
Right.
If you're going to say, I would love to pay for this meal, it's not going to come across the wrong way because you're doing it because you want to do something kind, not like, I'm the provider, so I'll pay. It's the intent.
A lot of these modern women continue to bump their gums about wanting a provider. I want a man to provide. I don't need one, but I want one. Whatever. I'm not doing it for you. If you're not reciprocating, then I'm not going to give anything to you.
So recently, I did a video in regards to how, contrary to what some individuals out there would like to have us believe, misandry does in fact exist. And the responses from some women, as well as some men, certainly did not disappoint. In addition to being called a pick-me and all sorts of disparaging words, the most common argument that I saw was that misandry is just a response to misogyny. And how does that make any sense? And even if that was the case, since when has hate ever actually canceled out or helped other people get over their own hate? The answer to that would be it never has, and it never will. So I'm going to ask those individuals that say that misandry is just a response to misogyny, how exactly is that an answer of any kind that will offer any kind of solutions, if any? And if there are solutions, what are they? I really can't wait to hear the answer.
If you don't go into marriage with the understanding that marriage is supposed to make you holy, not just happy, you are in for a rude awakening. While you are gathering up your standards for the type of man that you want, the money that you want him to have, whether he has kids or no kids, or he's a businessman or a corporate man, whatever that is, have your list, baby girl, but also have a list preparing you to forgive when you don't want to. Make sure you remind yourself that you are supposed to compromise, especially for my girls that have been single and getting to the bag and running their own show for a very long time. Make sure a part of your list is being prepared to be rubbed the wrong way. Welcome to the sanctification process. If you are not aware that marriage is a reflection of sanctification, you are going to be in for a rude awakening.
A lot of these modern women don't really know what a real man is. And they go off speaking about a real man. And then when he stops doing the things that an actual masculine man does, then you're confused. Maybe that was important. I know, stupid. It was.
My men aren't dating anymore. 1, the goalposts never stop moving. He thinks he's doing a good job. Well, she changed. Her standards are higher. She wants more. It's always so terrible how the appreciation part is always optional, but his effort isn't. 2, men are only valued for what they provide, not as human beings with their own wants and needs out of the relationship. Which makes a man feel like not only is he walking on eggshells, the love he receives is always super conditional. 3, there's too big of a risk that a man will lose everything if things go wrong. Man simply not wanting a marriage or a long-term relationship is him being careful with what he has. 4, accountability is super rare. A woman apologizing? What does that mean? Every bad behavior from her? Oh, it's my trauma. It's my upbringing. Oh, that's just how I am. But as soon as there's something she doesn't like about him, he's got to change it immediately. What? 5, men are tired of being the villain in every situation. He's tired of a woman saying, oh, I need some more, or I want more, but not specifics where he can't reach that goal. Where's the target?
These men have decided to opt out of society because they're tired of being blamed for stuff they didn't do. Consequences that they didn't even call. I wasn't even around when that happened. Why am I getting blamed for that? So it's natural for a man to walk away from a situation and distance himself from a situation that he ain't got nothing to do with.
Talk to me about the problem with nice guys.
Essentially, what nice guys do is what they suffer with is not that they're too nice or anything. It's just that they have incredibly weak boundaries when it comes to women. What they do is they blame the fact that they're so nice as to why they can't get women. But it's not about being nice. It's about a lack of masculinity. And one of the best ways to establish masculinity is placing boundaries. When you don't like a behavior, you don't roll over and allow it to continue and then give her more in order for you to get her. You set a boundary and you have a willingness to walk away. Nice guys, what happens is they don't like to exert their boundaries and they don't have a willingness to walk away. So what ends up happening is their nice nature becomes a reason for resentment because women don't like it. They actually feel angry when you're too nice to them because then they don't feel protected. They feel like you're weak because she'll feel like she has to raise you and she'll lose respect for you. What we truly want is who we can trust makes good decisions. But the one that doesn't trust his own decision making and we have to do it and he comes across as being nice, essentially he's seen as weak.
As a woman, the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is who you marry. This ring wasn't this big back in the day when my husband and I got married, okay? I want you to hear me. For me, it was very important to get married to someone who was going to be my partner, somebody that I could actually build a life with. So it's really important that you marry someone that has the same values as you and someone that you can grow with, someone who is thinking really big with you because your partner could end up being an anchor if you're not careful. I meet a lot of women who have these like requirements over the type of men that they need to marry, like the man's gotta have money. It's good to have standards. That's important. My standards were that I needed to meet someone that was educated, somebody who was a family man, and somebody who I knew could be a provider. Getting married and picking that partner is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make in your life. Whoever you marry, like, make it a journey. One of the most exhilarating parts about our partnership, it's not the purses, the cars, like those are just representations of the challenges that we've had to overcome. Those are just the physical things that are showing us the proof of what we had to go through to get to where we are today.
A lot of these men know that a woman will get online and say, I'm strong and independent, I don't need no man, but then be having him in the other room while hollering and screaming all this stuff, he paying the bills, but then still be online getting validation and attention from other dudes in her DMs.
Have you guys seen the video of the woman that came on this app saying that her friend ended their friendship over a man? Sounds terrible, right? And everyone was just bashing this woman. Well, come to find out, that man was her husband. And the reason why she ended their friendship was because her friend kept on telling her that her husband was not doing enough. And the straw that broke the camel's back was the friend's response to the wife being taken out by her husband for their anniversary for a simple dinner and flowers. And the friend was not happy about that. She said that that was very much bare minimum. Come to find out, that friend is single. She doesn't even have a man. And apparently all of her standards of what should be bare minimum, no man has ever met for that friend. The wife pleaded her case saying that that's what she wanted. She wanted just dinner and flowers because she's been married for multiple years. She has kids. She works a full-time job and she's tired. She doesn't want to go out and do extravagant things. She wanted what she wanted, but her friend was constantly there in her ear clocking everything that her husband was doing for her. I gotta say, I take the wife's side. I think that she made the right call. In order to maintain a healthy marriage, she needed to get rid of that friendship because clearly that friend was a woman that wanted her friends to be single because she was single. She wanted everyone around her to also be single.
A lot of these men try to be gentlemen. They try to open the door. They try to be chivalrous. They try to be generous. But modern women don't really appreciate a man like that. And they want a man to wait around until they grow or develop an appreciation for him. But that doesn't really make a lot of sense to men at all.
What needs to happen is for her to be in her feminine so that this space is opened up for a masculine man.
One of the reasons that these coaches are just so bad at giving dating advice is that they just fundamentally don't understand what gender is or how it works. The only noteworthy and different thing that this video does that makes it worth stitching is provide us with this useful little graphic. A graphic that depicts feminine and masculine energy on a spectrum where the presence of one necessarily implies the absence of the other. And that is not how femininity and masculinity work at all. Sociologists have understood this for more than 5 decades because femininity and masculinity are actually independent variables. If we actually want to measure them, we have to put them on opposing axes, as Sandra Bem did here in her inventory test. Because the simple fact is that the presence of femininity does not necessarily mean the absence of masculinity. Or to put it differently, there's no reason that we can't be both incredibly feminine and incredibly masculine. It just occurred to me that all of these folks who are getting their definitions of masculinity and femininity from some sort of new age occultist would probably have all of their illusions dispelled if they just spent like one day at a Pride festival.
Here's how I think women should handle male friends. First, I think women should clear their space from all male friends while preparing for a relationship. If you are a man that has a female friend, I don't think she should talk to you. I don't think y'all should see each other while she's trying to get herself together for a relationship. I don't care how long y'all knew each other. Priorities. Understand this, you get male energy from those male friends. Their presence, their support, their perspective, their affection, especially if they find you attractive. I think that women should starve themselves of all of that. I don't think you should be eating breadcrumbs, that those interactions that you have with men and you eating breadcrumbs and that's kind of like getting you by. But you want a meal with a whole man, but you when you start to get a little bit antsy, you call up Charlie. People are starting to kind of understand the power of fasting, right? And women they can't wait to tell you that they're abstinent, that they're not having. What I'm telling you is that it's the same principle. Your micro interactions follow the same principle as the macro. So if you understand that for some, right, they don't want to have until they're in a relationship or they're married, the same principle applies to your micro interactions and you interacting in the small ways. Just a dinner, just a drink. Starve. Fast. Completely.
And a lot of men are really tired of having to absorb a woman's cost of doing business, the way she lives her life. Oh, I'm just free out in the field. I don't want to deal with that. You don't want to be undisciplined and you want me to come in and fix all that.
Why are men so affected by admiration or appreciation?
I would say because of that productivity versus connectivity.
So also like linked to providership?
Yes, and we should visit that. Procreate, then protect, then provide, which is before gender, before human, before all that. But yes, it's linked to being productive, usually in order to provide. But if you think about how a human being is going to be able to be the most productive, if they're trusted and respected, that's how you get to be part of a team. That's how you get to go on the big game hunt. If you're not trusted and respected, you're chasing bunnies by yourself and it'll never get any better. So experiencing being trusted and respected is a source of security for a man. And if, for example, a man is married and his wife keeps making sure he knows that she does not admire him, that she does not respect him, that he's not worthy of respect, then everything he's poured into what he's building, has been building with her, isn't safe. It's now in jeopardy.
These modern women want men to perform this sort of traditional role as sort of like a party trick. You don't really want the actual traditional. You just want the face of it. And the man needs to act how you want him to act behind closed doors. But in public, do all of the things to let them know that I picked a good one and I'm just the greatest.
People don't make albums anymore. They don't make albums. They just try to sell a bunch of little quick singles and they burn out and they put out a new one and they burn out and they put out a new one. People don't even listen to a body of work anymore.
Wives, you want to be treated better by your husband? It comes a lot of times through setting good boundaries and rules within the home in a sense. That how you expect to be treated is really how you're going to be treated. If you allow yourself to be a doormat, if you allow your husband to walk over you, if you allow your husband not to be kind to you, well, the only way to change that is for you to begin to say that's unacceptable. There's things that I do that my wife goes, no, we don't get to do that. That's not, you don't get, she'll say things like, no, I don't hang out with Grumpy Scott. And so I've got to learn that I don't get to be grumpy. I don't get to have a bad attitude. And that's a healthy thing. She doesn't say it mean. She doesn't say it in a nagging way. She just says, that's not acceptable. You don't get to talk to me like that. You don't get to act that way. You don't get to be, and it's a healthy boundary of raising your expectations that you should expect that you shouldn't have to carry stuff in from the car that if he's around, that you shouldn't have to carry stuff down to the beach, that you begin to say, no, you're the man. You open my door for me. I'm worth that. I'm a very valuable part of this family, and I need you to treat me in that way. I expect you to take me out on a date every week. I expect that when you come home that you're going to talk. I expect that when we're having a conversation, my wife's, no, I don't talk to somebody who's on their phone. So if you want to talk to me, great. I'd love to talk to you, but you'll need to put your phone down because I'm not going to battle you with your phone. It's done in love. It's done in kindness, but it's also an expectation. Begin to expect more out of your marriage.
Can you imagine fumbling a man who literally only went to work, went to the gym, worked on himself, focused only on you as his person, and was trying to actually build a future with you, and you fumbled that man because you thought you could do better, or you got bored, or you thought something was wrong with him? You're going to regret that for the rest of your life. I'm sorry.
Why do men marry women they hate? And obviously, this is not all men, but I think a lot of men end up marrying a woman who represents a life they regret choosing. And this comes in two versions. The first version is they marry the woman that represents a life they did choose, but it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. I see this most often when men say they want marriage and children, but it very much gives the same energy as a child begging for a dog. They want it so badly until the dog requires walks, structure, responsibility, and permanent life changes. He didn't want that work. He liked the idea of it. And I think that's where resentment can turn into hatred very quickly. The second version is they end up marrying the woman who represents a life they didn't choose. They committed out of fear. Fear of starting over, fear of disappointing their family and friends, their parents who want grandchildren so desperately. And so they marry the safe woman, the woman that's right in front of him when he claims he's ready, and not necessarily to the woman that he loves the most. Typically, the woman that he loves the most is the woman that got away. Obviously, not all men, but a lot. There's a quote that goes, most men live quiet lives of desperation. And I think that marriage doesn't cure desperation. It just buries it. And instead of grieving the life they didn't have the courage to build, they're looking for someone to blame. And so they tell themselves a story. She's holding me back. She's such a nay. And that's why. And ladies, I know you've all experienced this, where you're walking down the street and a man is holding hands with his wife while he is mentally undressing you with his eyes. I don't think it's about lust. I think it's about mourning the version of him that he never became. Hence, the midlife crisis. But what do you think?
Men have always been the prize. And I'm going to explain what I'm saying. Women marry who they can. Men marry who they want. You can get offended by the statement, but if you really sit down and you think about it and you be honest with yourself, that is a very valid statement. Also, not only that, but by him saying that he is the prize, that does not make her not a prize, especially with these days, the way that women are raising these young girls. And it's unfortunate, but and also the numbers. I will never let any of your daughters tell my son that he is not the prize. That will never be a...
I understand what people mean when they say, in order for you to have a new life, you have to give up your old life. In the context of relationships, if you decide to end a long-term relationship, which is what I did, not only do you have to grieve the loss of that person just being in your life, even if you were the one to end things, but you also have to grieve, and this can be almost harder sometimes, you have to grieve the loss of the version of yourself that you were when you were in that relationship. What I've heard from a lot of women who have ended long-term relationships is oftentimes we grieve the loss of the person while we are still in that relationship, which is why grieving the loss of yourself once you're out of it, that part of yourself, can be a little bit more challenging. There's parts of myself that I miss from being in a long-term, like, committed relationship. Like, I miss that loving, nurturing, like, thoughtful, giving self, that part of me. And what I've had to do now that I'm no longer in that relationship is I've had to find ways to cultivate that side of myself without being with someone. Started hosting women's hikes. I started getting more involved with my church and volunteering there. But you really do have to find other outlets to bring that side of yourself out again, unless you want to just, like, jump into another relationship, which I personally do not. If you, like, miss that side. And it's something that I feel like I haven't heard a lot of people talk about.
Every woman wants a masculine man, but let's talk about the inconveniences of being with a masculine man if you are an unhealed woman. A masculine man is very disciplined. Therefore, it'll expose how undisciplined you are. His structure will irritate your chaos. His calmness will feel like coldness. You will get bored because he initially has created peace in his life, structure and order. You either get in alignment with it and add to his peace, or you will have to leave.
I've seen men leave 5-10-year relationships and turn around and marry a woman.
The reason men will leave long-term relationships for a new woman and move on like that is because of something called the 90-10 rule. Basically what it means is the woman he's with might have 90% of what he's looking for. And even though most people are lucky to have 90% in common with someone, he becomes so resentful of the 10% that she doesn't have that when a new woman comes along and embodies that 10%, he's so enthralled with the 10% that she does have that he starts to convince himself that it's 100% of what he wants. So he jumps ship like that, and down the line, he realizes that this woman only has 10% of what he's looking for, but it doesn't matter because he already left the 90% behind. Follow for more, and good luck.
You all are going to walk together to the car. Ready? And we're walking. Step to the side. Woo! How's it Yes! Love it. We're going to go in. Yes. Ladies, I step aside. Allow him to open. Thank you so much. And then he follows. Okay?
It is a fact that men want what they can't have. They want what is not easily accessible to them.
This is one of the biggest misconceptions about men. It is simply not true. Of course, no one likes overly clingy people, but if you're talking and then all of a sudden you make him feel unwanted or that you're inaccessible, he may still want you, but he's certainly not going to want you more. When you just pull out like that, it doesn't make him want to chase you. He's just a little bit confused as to why you're suddenly not talking to him when he thought you were a perfectly nice girl. Okay, they don't want you to be entirely reliant on them, especially if it's for their wallet, but they want to feel super necessary. They spend all day long in society being told that they're not necessary. They do not want a partner who also makes them feel unnecessary. If you can make your partner feel that not only you want to need him, but that he is wanted and needed by society, by the world, you will have a very powerful man.
If he wanted so much, why did he ever? What are you doing? What did he ever want? Make a move back then. What are you doing? You won't look like me. Yeah, so why did he ever let you know way before? No, why is it all of a sudden?
He said he wishes he did, but it's not about who makes the move first, you know, right?
No, but I'm saying he never showed his intentions ever until we started hanging out.
I feel like until you said, oh my God, this guy. asked you to kiss me?
He asked.
No, when they asked you kiss a girl, you like outside the house, something like that, and then you kissed me.
The same way a lot of men prefer their women to be hairless like a child, also prefer their women to not be argumentative or hostile, similar to that of a child who can't or does not know how to advocate for themselves. Because recently I was watching this episode of Pop the Bloom. A woman came out and she expressed that she would prefer not to date a guy who's into the nightlife. And so the guy kept on calling her, you're closed-minded, you know, I need to be with a woman who's open-minded, who's open to the way I make my money and my lifestyle, all these things. And so it got to a point where she just calmly said, I'm not closed-minded, I just have a preference. Well, another guy popped. Obviously that pop had to do with the whole nightlife thing or whatever. He also said one very important thing that stuck out to me. He said, I feel like that interaction between her and the other guy was hostile. She didn't curse at the guy. She didn't yell. She didn't call him out his name. All she did was reiterate that just because I have a personal preference for myself, that doesn't mean I'm closed-minded. So just to be clear, within that entire interaction, a man classified a woman as hostile simply for advocating for herself. Another man tried to subtly insult/demean the woman for knowing her worth and knowing that she's better than something.
Chivalry is and you're upset by that. Chivalry is so like what's an example of guys not being chivalrous anymore?
Even like opening the car door for you.
Oh, chivalry's
Yes.
Like what is it?
Like I look at my dad and how he treats my mom.
Sure.
And I talked to them about this the other day. Like I'm going to be 35 in December, and you know, I thought by now, okay, I know. Gotta be like married, but it's like, I have so many girlfriends that are in the same boat because it's just like men aren't built the same way like our dads were back in the day.
But are women built the same way?
Yeah.
It's very simple. Oh, you want a traditional man? Are you a traditional woman? And most of these modern women are not traditional. They do not deserve chivalry. They go around saying men and women are equal, but then want to be treated differently for being a woman. As a rule of thumb, you should be chivalrous to women who don't believe in gender equality and feminism and all this modern propaganda.
According to psychology, if a woman has these 5 traits, you're looking at a genuinely good woman, and they're rarer than you think. First, she's almost always alone. Not because she hates people, but because she discovered something most never will. Peace is quieter, softer, and more honest in solitude. She doesn't need constant company because she's comfortable with who she is when no one's watching. Second, she overthinks everything. Life, people, mistakes, heartbreak. Her mind never stops analyzing. She feels everything more deeply than others notice, replaying moments others forget instantly. Psychology refers to this as empathic sensitivity. Third, she reads people like open books. One look, one sentence, and she's already decoded your intentions. She senses energy shifts, tone changes, and hidden patterns before you even finish speaking. Fourth, she doesn't trust easily. Not because she's cold, but because she's seen too many masks, too many promises that turned into lies, too many people who swore forever but disappeared anyway. And most important, she's suffered more than you could imagine. Instead of seeking revenge, she chose silence. Instead of closing off, she kept her heart open. If this is you, you're built different.
Why men avoid commitment? The number one reason, the fear of vulnerability. A lot of men was raised to believe showing emotion is a sign of weakness, man. And they scared if they do open up to the wrong person, they can end up being hurt. You know how many women out there that hurt, man, for whatever reason? And number 2 is basically past trauma and heartbreak. Do you know how many out there that left millions of heartbroken? Yeah, they ain't trying to experience that pain again, man. The third reason, the desire for freedom and independence. The modern dating landscape emphasizes personal freedom and self-exploration, man. They don't want to answer to nobody. Trust me, I'm the same way. Some men and women feel like committing to a relationship could get in the way of their pursuit of happiness. Everybody want to live, but nobody want to. The fourth reason, they not show up in future. A lot of men are dealing with the pressures of life. You don't want nobody on the side of your ears just nagging you or not supporting you the right way, man. Not until a man finds something that he loves doing or finding a life path that he can commit to, he'll never commit to you, man. The number 5 reason, why buy the cow the milk for free? We live in a time where is accessible, man. And sometimes men don't want to deal with the obligations of a relationship, having to take you out to dinner, buy you things for your birthday. Right now, I'm trying to get my life together. Don't be mad at me. It is what it is. I'm just giving you the reasons why men avoid commitments.
Can a woman fully step into her divine feminine without any men around?
No.
Wow, that's going to get some attention.
I'm aware.
Can a guy step into his divine masculine without women around?
Yes.
No Really?
You want to know why?
Yeah, that surprises me.
Because masculine trait is initiation.
Talk to me about initiation and masculinity.
Masculinity is step one. Responsiveness is a feminine trait. There's a lot more feminine aspects which are dependent on other things. And I know that no woman who has been damaged by masculine wants to hear that.
Seems like this might be a whole species-wide problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is.
How would you fix it?
I would help us to fall in love with each other again. To see each other as a very unique element in this universe. I think it really helps when we stop fighting who's better, who's the problem, and instead we look at this like it's its own thing. And if we fall in love with femininity as its own thing and masculinity as its own thing, then we no longer need to compare them in such an extreme way. We can instead really appreciate each for its contribution and how much we need it. Right now we're in a time period where people are so messed up about their own specific gender, they're like in resistance to what they came in as, which is why I tend to spend a lot more of my time helping women who came into a female incarnation, stepping into divine feminine rather than exercising, their capacity to be in divine masculine.
I don't know about you, but I think guys put themselves in the friend zone. I don't think women do it. Because to me, if a guy is placed in the friend zone, he's placed himself in there because he had the anticipation that he was going to date a woman or get to sleep with a woman, and she said no. So it's easier for him to put a label on the rejection so that he doesn't feel rejected, and then that places the blame on the woman because she's the one who said no. If a woman says no, it's because she's not interested. If she's not interested, it's not because you're not a good person, it's just that you're not a match for her. So as a guy, you need to be able to understand that you are going to have rejections. That's just part of the process. And it doesn't mean that we've friend zoned you or we've put you in the nice guy category. You've placed yourself there in order to feel better about a situation in which you were rejected. And again, it's okay to be rejected. It's just a redirection saying that you are not a fit for said person. But if you want to continue to pursue said person and you are still attracted to said person and you say, well, you friend zoned me, you're the one saying that the woman said no and you didn't feel good about it. Do you think I'm right or do you think I'm wrong? Put it in the comments.
Do you believe women should approach men?
Yes. 100%, 1,000%.
Answer that quick.
That is my jam. I've been saying that time at time. Those will be quick tip. But absolutely. A lot of women that I know have been in very successful relationships because they shot their shot first.
How should a woman approach a man? What's going to be effective? Because there's a lot of women out there who have no game at all.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? They really struggle with it. And I understand because a lot of them are attractive. They never really had to approach a man, but they run into somebody they like. And if they build up the courage to go do it, what's some cool stuff for them to say or cool stuff for them to do that'll really get a man's attention?
Let's say you see a man in person and y'all happen to, give each other a hug. Hey, how you doing? You hug him. If he smell good, give him a compliment. You smell good. What cologne is that? I think that right there, you're like, okay. And it gives you confidence as a man too. If you in HEB and you see a man shopping, he by himself, walk him to him, just say, hey, how you doing? I'm Janice or whatever your name is. Introduce yourself. And let it go from there. If he you see he kind of shy or something like that, then well, hey, just take my number. And then leave it at that. I'm not saying that you got to do all the work. By no means, don't do all the work. Just put yourself in position for that man to see you. That's it, that's all.
I think a lot of women are experiencing long periods of time of zero attraction to men.
No, and I feel so seen right now. We have to talk about it because so many women are coming forward and confessing hey, for some reason, I don't know why, I have not been actually genuinely attracted to a man in so long. And Lord, have we been trying. But it almost feels like we grew out of it or something. And what is going on? And I have to agree. I honestly thought that I was fully done with men and had moved on past that until I recently ran into a man at an event. You may or may not know. That was for the first time live on film. You saw me feel something again, and I was freaked out about it. Honestly, I think it was just an energy I didn't even know still existed in men out there somewhere, and I've been desperately clinging to that as a shred of hope for society ever since. But even recently, like a guy that I was in love with or had a crush on, whatever you want to call it, for years reached back out to me and started flirting with me. And watching it happen gave me the ick, which was crazy because if that man had reached out to me and said and done the exact same thing back when I was like 22, it's what I always dreamed of. But now in 2026, I was just like, it's kind of cringe. It's a little bit embarrassing at our grown age. And your jokes, I don't know, they're just not landing. Some of them are rubbing me a little bit the wrong way. And I'm not willing to let enough of this slide anymore to think this is cute. And I do think it's a combination of two things. I think one, men are getting worse. The manosphere is becoming bigger. And two, I'm building the women's sphere. We're all becoming more aware of this behavior and we're letting less of it slide as it gets worse. In girl math terms, it's like fixing your student loan debt by going out and buying a new car. You're actually just snowballing the whole thing, and it's starting to get noticeably insane.
Men, are you actually dating or married to a high value woman, or are you just attracted to her? I don't know how many times I've heard this, that they say she's high value because she's a nice body, good teeth and bone structure and nice hair, and she goes to the gym. That's not what makes her high value at all. What makes her high value are these 5 qualities. So if she has these 5 qualities, then keep her. Number 1, she is respectful of you even when you're not around. So she doesn't throw you under the bus to her friends. That is respect. And number 2, when she gets upset, she can regulate her emotions instead of escalate them. That is emotional maturity. Number 3, when a better option comes up, does she stay grounded in her choice? Because that is loyalty. It's easy to keep saying yes when things are good. But what happens when things get hard and a better option pops up? You just change your mind? That's not loyalty. Number 4, when something bothers her, does she communicate maturely? Does she communicate her needs and her desires, or does she pull away and avoid? That'll tell you whether she is going to build with you or not. And number 5, when no one is watching, do her actions still match up with what she says she values? That is integrity, because this is where most men mess up. They choose based on what they see and what they feel, the chemistry, the looks, the vibe, instead of choosing based on character. Don't miss the character, because a high value woman shows up. She's consistent, even when it costs her something and even when it's uncomfortable. If you feel like you could use more help in this area, then you can book a call with me in the link in my bio. This is the work that I do.
A lot of these modern women don't understand that if I have to go to work and fight battles out there, why would I want to come home to you, nagging, complaining, and starting arguments with me? That's not going to work. You know, oh, well, he likes a toxic man or a toxic woman. That might be cute in the beginning because it's like a little flair, but now the joke is over. You need to stop doing that. Quit that.